Right now, I'd say that 90% of the Canadian public doesn't know the whole story. Every time I go to Ottawa, before I go on stage, I'm told, Sylvain, could you just avoid talking about supply management? But if I feel I have to do this, is because something is really fundamentally wrong here. And I think a lot of the audience would relate to that in the fact that the media is just covering one side of the story most of the time. And so in February, I wrote for La Presse for 25 years for free, and they decided to let me go because I came out criticizing the subsidy program, the tax credit program supporting media, and that costs the costs are in the millions of dollars. So basically, most media have actually turned into smaller CBCs. And at first I didn't realize it until like we started to deal with some really big issues after COVID, and I saw the bias. Like because I've been working with media for 25 years, and I started to see. So reporters, I give 20, 25 interviews a week, and all of a sudden I was seeing myself being cited in one way versus another, and it was always about protecting Ottawa and the Liberals. It was Trudeau before, now it's Prime Minister Carney, and so whenever I raise the issue about carbon pricing, whenever I raise the issue of supply management, whenever I raise the issue about counter-tariffs, uh, of course, President Trump, it's been incredibly frustrating and difficult to really try to inform the public as much as possible. I'm lucky to actually have a connection with the public with my op-eds and the podcast. But when you deal with major networks, you can see that there's an incredible bias towards one specific narrative. And so when it comes to food, if you want an informed public, well, before it was difficult, now it's even more difficult. And I'm struggling with that very much. And that's why I asked the US Ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, even though he's controversial, I wanted him on my show because um, I could tell, and I've spoken to the embassy in Ottawa, and I could tell that not a whole lot of his message was coming out. It was very filtered, and Canadians tend to believe that he's a prick, that he's a yes man for President Trump, which he kind of is, but at the same time, when you're dealing with issues like the Gordie Howe Bridge and why it's closed, and we're only getting one side of the story, the alcohol ban across the country, supply management, and all the things that have happened in the last few years. It's been just so one-sided that right now I'd say that 90% of the Canadian public doesn't know the whole story. So that's why I had him on. And frankly, Dan, it's incredibly, when you think about it, how troubling is it to see one simple academic out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, trying to do the media's job in informing the public? Like, this is sad. I mean, I'm not supposed to be doing this. The media is supposed to be doing this. So, but if I feel I have to do this, is because something is really fundamentally wrong here.
And in promotion of this very event, our ad was not approved. Our paid ad to promote this event. And I don't have all the answers for why, but I can take a wild guess.
Your ad was not approved?
No. I got a note from my my social media manager in the Philippines, God bless her, like, hey, this ad for the thumbnail that we put out, it was not approved to be promoted by that platform. And I just wonder, their filters on high. Their filters on high, right? So
that is interesting.
It is, yeah.
Well, I speak my mind, so I know that. I mean, I don't really worry about who I'm going to piss off. Like I just don't. I'll be honest with you, I just don't. When I go on stage, and you've seen me on stage, I say what I think people need to hear, and there's little of that right now in Canada. Think about it. Like, who sponsors major events? I can think of Farm Credit Canada, for example. I can think of BDC, EDC. I mean, some of these groups that are funding a lot of agri-food events are extremely careful politically. So why would they want a guy like me on stage telling things as they are? I mean, if I go on stage today, it's because I've accepted that either I've actually been allowed to say what I want, or I've accepted not to talk about certain things. Like in Ottawa, for example, every time I go to Ottawa, before I go on stage, I'm told, Sylvain, could you just avoid talking about supply management? Or could you avoid talking about carbon pricing? Like, it's just too controversial right now. And I said, fine, whatever. And I go on stage, and I respect that, but it really just bothers me because I have other platforms. I can actually talk about these things elsewhere. But this is the reality, Dan. Whenever you go to events as a farmer or anybody, like, ask yourself how much filtering is going on, and that's not good.